Welcome the rare gems. You get what you tolerate. Stop tolerating less than you deserve. Being a Sigma female isn't about fitting in. It's about standing firm in who you are, no matter what the world expects of you. You weren't born to please, to shrink yourself for others, or to constantly explain why you choose to walk a different path. You are wired for independence, built for depth, and unshakable in your convictions. And because of that, there are certain things you will never tolerate. People will try to test your boundaries. Some will mistake your kindness for weakness. Others will assume they can manipulate, control, or guilt-trip you into being someone you're not. But here's the truth. Sigma females don't exist to be molded by others. You've worked too hard to know yourself, to build your peace, and to master your own mind. You are not for everyone, and that's exactly what makes you powerful. This isn't about arrogance. It's about self-respect. The moment you allow toxic behavior, you invite more of it. The moment you tolerate less than you deserve, you teach people how to treat you. A Sigma female knows this. That's why she sets her own rules, values her time, and walks away from anything that disturbs her peace. So if you ever doubt yourself, remember this. You are not difficult. You are not cold. You are simply a woman who refuses to accept anything less than what aligns with her worth, and that is your greatest strength. Number 1. Passive aggressiveness. Sigma females have zero patience for childish mind games. If you have something to say it. If you have an issue, address it. But speaking in riddles, dropping hints, expecting her to read between the lines while pretending everything is fine? She's not playing that game. Passive-aggressive people love to hide behind sarcasm, vague comments, and insincere politeness. Instead of saying what they mean, they expect you to just know. They'll sigh dramatically instead of explaining their frustration. They'll say, "Wow, must be nice," instead of admitting they're jealous. They'll tell you, "Oh, don't worry about me," while secretly hoping you'll worry about them. A Sigma female doesn't have the time or the patience to decode this nonsense. She believes in direct communication. If something's wrong, say it. If you're upset, be honest. If you don't like something, speak up. Anything less than that is emotional immaturity. She's not rude, she's just efficient. She won't waste hours analyzing someone's cryptic mood swings or overthinking why they suddenly went cold. If a person can't communicate like an adult, she simply removes herself from the situation. Because here's the thing, passive aggressiveness is a form of manipulation. It's a way for people to control a situation without taking responsibility for their feelings. They want you to chase the truth, guess what's wrong, and work for their approval. But a Sigma female? She doesn't chase. She doesn't have time for emotional puzzles. If someone refuses to be upfront, she takes that as a sign of emotional weakness, and she has no interest in keeping emotionally weak people in her life. So when faced with passive aggressiveness, a Sigma female does the one thing that frustrates these people the most. She doesn't engage. No reaction, no playing detective, just a quiet exit, leaving them to deal with their own unspoken problems. Number 2. Fake urgency. A Sigma female does not rush, ever. She moves with intention, with precision, on her own timeline. If someone tries to pressure her into making a quick decision, she sees it for what it is, a manipulation tactic. Pushy salespeople, bosses who throw out unnecessary deadlines just to create stress, friends or partners who demand immediate answers. None of that works on her. If anything, it backfires. The moment she senses someone trying to force her into urgency, she does the exact opposite. She slows down. Why? Because she knows pressure is a trick. It's used to make people react emotionally instead of thinking logically. It's a way to control others, to make them feel like they have no choice but to act now. But a Sigma female? She always has a choice. She's immune to phrases like, "This offer won't last." Then it wasn't worth it. "If you don't decide now, you'll regret it." Doubt it. You need to hurry. No, you need to wait. She takes her time because she trusts herself. If something is truly valuable, it will still be valuable tomorrow. If someone is rushing her, it's likely because they don't want her to think too hard about what's really going on. And that's exactly why she pauses. She evaluates. She asks herself, why the rush? Who benefits from me making a fast decision? And if the urgency is fake, she walks away. No debate, no explanation, just gone. This ability frustrates people who thrive on control. They don't understand why their pressure isn't working, why she's not flustered, why she seems unshakable. But that's the beauty of it. She's in control of her life. And she refuses to let anyone manipulate her into moving before she's ready. Number 3. Envy and competitiveness. A Sigma female doesn't wake up thinking about how to be better than someone else. She wakes up thinking about how to be better than she was yesterday. That's the only competition that matters to her. Self-improvement, self-mastery, and personal growth. So when she comes across people who are obsessed with one-upping, comparing, or proving themselves, she doesn't engage. She walks away. Competitive energy makes her uncomfortable, not because she's afraid to lose, but because she's not playing the game. While others are busy measuring their worth against external achievements, she's focused on something deeper, becoming unshakable. Outward success is a byproduct of her growth, not the goal itself. And envy? She finds it laughable. If someone can't celebrate another person's success, it's a clear sign of insecurity. Sigma females don't feel threatened by others winning. They're inspired by it. They don't waste time comparing bank accounts, relationships, careers, or looks because they understand a simple truth. There is no competition when you're walking your own path. But what happens when someone tries to compete with her? At first, she observes, she notices the subtle digs, the forced smiles, the energy shift when she succeeds. She sees how they measure their worth by trying to keep up with her. But the moment she realizes someone views her as an opponent instead of an ally, she disengages. She refuses to waste her energy proving herself to people who don't even know who they are. The funny thing is, her refusal to compete makes people even more insecure. They don't understand why she's not reacting, why she's not trying to match their energy. But that's what makes her powerful. She doesn't get distracted. At the end of the day, Sigma females know this. A person at peace with themselves has no interest in competition, and that's why no one can beat her. She's not even in the race. Number 4, controlling behavior. Try to tell a Sigma female what to do, how to think, or who to be. That's your first and final mistake. She was born to move on her own terms. No one, absolutely no one, controls her. Not a partner, not a friend, not family, not society. She makes her own rules, and she follows them relentlessly. So when someone tries to dictate what she wears, who she talks to, how she should behave, or what she should do with her life, she doesn't argue. She removes them, just like that. No warnings, no second chances, because the moment someone thinks they have the right to control her, they've already disrespected her existence. People who try to control others often mistake their dominance for leadership. They think they're guiding, protecting, or helping. But a Sigma female doesn't see it that way. To her, control is an insult. It implies she's incapable of making her own choices, that she needs permission to be herself. And that? Unacceptable. She's seen what happens to people who live under someone else's thumb, how they shrink, how they second-guess themselves, how they wake up one day realizing they've built a life that doesn't even feel like their own. And she refuses to let that happen to her. She doesn't demand freedom. She embodies it. She walks away from anyone who tries to put limits on her because she knows this simple truth. If someone truly values you, they won't try to control you. They'll respect your choices, not fear them. That's why a Sigma female doesn't fight for her independence. It's non-negotiable. If someone tries to take it, they're gone. Because she is the architect of her own world, and no one gets the blueprint but her. Number 5. Being guilt-tripped into feminine expectations. A Sigma female is a woman on her own terms. She doesn't exist to fit into anyone's outdated idea of femininity. If she's soft, it's because she chooses to be. If she's nurturing, it's because she wants to be. Not because society, family, or anyone else pressures her into it. She's seen it all. The guilt-tripping, the subtle shaming, the comments wrapped in concern. Why don't you smile more? You'd look prettier. A woman should be softer, more nurturing. You don't want to intimidate men, do you? She's unfazed, completely. The world might expect her to be agreeable, gentle, self-sacrificing, But she was never built to be what others want. She was built to be herself. And that self, sometimes warm, sometimes distant, sometimes nurturing, sometimes ruthless. She owns every side of her personality without apology. People who try to guilt her into acting more feminine don't realize something. She's not rebelling. She's not rejecting femininity. She's redefining it. To her, being a woman isn't about fitting into a box labeled soft or sweet. It's about power of choice. If she wants to be gentle, she will be. If she wants to be sharp-edged, she will be. Either way, it's her decision, not society's. And here's what makes her truly untouchable. She doesn't argue about it. She doesn't waste time explaining why she doesn't conform. She doesn't defend her independence. She just lives it. And those who don't like it? Irrelevant. Because a Sigma female wasn't born to please. She was born to exist fully. And if someone can't handle that, that's their weakness, not hers. Number 6. Half-truths and strategic omissions. A Sigma female doesn't just hear what's being said. She pays attention to what's not being said. And that's where most people slip up. They think that leaving out certain details, twisting the truth just a little, or carefully wording things to hide their real intentions will go unnoticed. It won't. A lie by omission is still a lie. And if there's one thing she never tolerates, it's deception. See, she wasn't born yesterday. She's encountered enough smooth talkers, manipulators, and half-truth tellers to know exactly how the game works. And she doesn't play it. If she senses even the slightest inconsistency in someone's words, she doesn't argue. She doesn't demand the truth. She simply disappears. No warnings, no second chances, no dramatic confrontation. Because she knows one simple truth. If someone is willing to hide things now, they'll do it again later. And she's not about to waste her time decoding someone's carefully constructed half-truths. Here's what people don't realize. Sigma females don't need concrete proof to walk away. If something feels off, that's enough. They trust their instincts more than they trust excuses, and when they leave, they don't look back. Because the moment deception enters the picture, respect leaves. And once a Sigma female loses respect for someone, they're done. So if someone thinks they can keep her around with selective honesty, withholding details, or bending the truth just enough to stay out of trouble, they're in for a rude awakening, because she's not fooled. And she's definitely not staying. Number 7. People who pretend to be helpless. There's a difference between struggling and refusing to try. Sigma females understand this better than most. They have no problem offering support to someone who genuinely needs help, especially if that person is making an effort. But when they come across someone who plays the victim, constantly complains, and refuses to take accountability for their own life, that's a deal breaker. Sigma females have worked too hard to build themselves up. They've fought their own battles, pushed through setbacks, and faced their demons alone. They know what it means to struggle, but they also know the power of self-reliance. That's why they have zero tolerance for people who expect to be saved without lifting a finger. We've all met them. The ones who always have an excuse. Nothing is ever their fault. Life is unfair, people are out to get them, and no matter what happens, they're never responsible for their own choices. These people don't want solutions, they want sympathy. And a Sigma female, she doesn't have time for that. She can spot manipulation a mile away. She knows when someone is genuinely in need versus when someone is just trying to weaponize their helplessness to get attention, favors, or a free pass in life. The moment she realizes someone is using their struggles as a crutch instead of a challenge to overcome, she mentally checks out. This isn't about being harsh. It's about self-respect. Sigma females have no interest in carrying dead weight. They surround themselves with people who take ownership of their lives, people who try, even if they fail. Strength recognizes strength. So, if someone expects a Sigma female to play therapist, rescuer, or emotional babysitter, they're in for a rude awakening. She won't entertain self-pity. She won't tolerate laziness disguised as struggle. And she certainly won't stick around for anyone who refuses to help themselves. Because at the end of the day, she didn't build herself just to carry someone else who refuses to walk. Number 8. Performative apologies. A Sigma female doesn't fall for hollow words. If an apology is just a way to shut down an argument, smooth things over, or avoid consequences, she won't buy it. She's seen it too many times. People who say, "I'm sorry," not because they actually mean it, but because they want to reset the situation without taking real accountability. They'll throw out a quick apology, expecting everything to go back to normal, without any intention of actually changing their behavior. That doesn't work with a Sigma female. To her, an apology means nothing without action behind it. If someone keeps making the same mistakes, but expects a simple sorry to fix everything, they're wasting their breath. She doesn't need words. She needs to see a shift in behavior. Because here's the thing, a Sigma female is not emotionally gullible. She knows when an apology is genuine and when it's just damage control. And if it's the latter, she'll disengage. She won't argue. She won't beg for sincerity. She won't try to make someone understand why they're wrong. She'll just leave. She expects the people in her life to be self-aware and responsible. If someone messes up, she can respect that. They're human. But what she won't respect is someone who refuses to own up to their actions in a meaningful way. A real apology isn't about words. It's about accountability, effort, and actual change. It's about showing, not just saying, that someone values the relationship enough to correct their behavior. So if someone thinks they can manipulate a Sigma female with fake remorse, they're in for a rude awakening. Because she's not moved by words, she's moved by actions. And if those actions don't align with the apology, she's gone. Number 9. Anyone who demands constant reassurance. A Sigma female is not your emotional crutch. She is not here to hold your hand through every insecurity, stroke your ego, or constantly remind you of your worth. If you don't believe in yourself, that's your battle, not hers. She supports people who are willing to grow, who take accountability for their own confidence. But someone who needs endless validation? Someone who constantly seeks reassurance instead of working on themselves? Draining. And she won't tolerate it. See, she understands that everyone has moments of doubt. She's had her own. But the difference? She faces them head on. She doesn't expect the world to pause and reassure her. She fights through her fears, builds herself up, and moves forward. That's why she has zero patience for those who refuse to do the same. What does she respect? Effort. If you're struggling but actively working on yourself, she'll be your biggest supporter. But if you sit in self-pity, expecting her to constantly lift you up, that's where she walks away. Because here's the truth. You either build your own confidence or you stay dependent on others for it. And a Sigma female doesn't allow emotional dependency in her space. She doesn't have time for people who refuse to take responsibility for their own mindset. She won't cater to fragile egos that crumble without constant praise. And she certainly won't exhaust herself trying to convince someone of their worth when they won't even try to believe it themselves. She'll give you honesty. She'll give you respect. But she will not give you endless emotional labor. If you need constant reassurance to function, you're looking for the wrong person. Because a Sigma female, she expects people to stand on their own feet, and if they can't, she keeps walking. Number 10. Being taken for granted. A Sigma female doesn't ask for much, just basic respect. She's not the type to beg for appreciation, chase after people who overlook her, or demand recognition for everything she does. She moves quietly, handles her responsibilities, and gives her time and energy to those she values. But the moment she realizes she's being used, she's gone. No warnings, no drama, just silence. See, some people mistake her independence for endless availability. They assume that because she doesn't complain, she doesn't have limits. That because she's strong, she doesn't need acknowledgement. That because she doesn't demand attention, she doesn't deserve it. But they forget one thing. She notices everything. She sees when someone only reaches out when they need something. She catches the small signs of entitlement, the lack of reciprocity, the way people grow comfortable taking without giving. And once she's seen it, there's no going back. She won't argue. She won't send a long message explaining how she feels. She won't sit around hoping they change. She just removes herself. And when she leaves completely. Not to punish, not to prove a point, but because she knows her worth. She'd rather be alone than surrounded by people who only keep her around for what she offers. She values herself enough to know that her energy is a privilege, not a convenience. And once someone shows they don't appreciate it, she takes it elsewhere. Permanently. The irony? The same people who took her for granted always realize it too late. They reach out, wondering where she went, why she stopped answering, why she suddenly feels like a ghost. But by the time they miss her, she's already moved on. Because a Sigma female doesn't waste time explaining her absence to people who never valued her presence. Number 11. Dependency disguised as love. A Sigma female knows the difference between genuine love and emotional dependency. And if someone's version of love is really just an excuse to latch onto her for security, she won't hesitate to sever the connection. She's seen it before, people who mistake attachment for affection, who mistake control for care, who mistake needing her for loving her. But she doesn't exist to be anyone's emotional life raft. She doesn't carry people who refuse to stand on their own. See, love should be an addition to life, not a survival mechanism. A Sigma female wants a partner, not a project. Someone who walks beside her, not someone who clings to her out of fear. If the connection is built on need rather than respect, she sees right through it. And when she does, it's over. Because love, real love, is freedom, not dependence. It's about choosing each other, not needing each other to function. It's about two whole individuals who come together, not one trying to fill their emptiness with the other. She won't be guilt-tripped into carrying someone's insecurities. She won't be manipulated into staying because someone is lost without her. She won't be suffocated by emotional weight that isn't hers to hold. A Sigma female values strength, and that includes emotional strength. She respects people who take responsibility for their own growth. She admires those who work through their struggles, not those who expect a relationship to fix them. So, if someone tries to disguise their dependency as love, thinking she won't notice, she will. And the moment she realizes she's being used as an emotional crutch, she walks. No warnings, no explanations, just gone. Because love is about wanting someone, not needing them. And if they don't understand that, they were never meant to be in her life. You don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. A Sigma female knows her worth. She's not here to shrink herself for the comfort of others, nor is she here to tolerate anything that drains her energy, disrespects her boundaries, or insults her intelligence. She walks a path few understand, and because of that, she's had to learn, sometimes the hard way, that not everyone deserves access to her. But make no mistake, her strength is not bitterness. It's clarity. She doesn't cut people off for fun. She does it because she values her peace over unnecessary chaos. She doesn't tolerate disrespect, not because she's aggressive, but because she respects herself too much to entertain it. Being a Sigma female means moving through the world on your own terms. It means understanding that you don't owe anyone blind loyalty, endless patience, or explanations for why you refuse to tolerate certain behaviors. You fought too hard to become the woman you are today to let anyone pull you back into habits that no longer serve you. You don't waste time convincing people to respect you. You don't beg for love, validation, or basic decency. And most importantly, you don't allow people to stay in your life when they've shown you, through actions, not words, that they don't deserve to be there. This is not arrogance. This is not being too much or too difficult. This is self-respect in its purest form. And if that intimidates some people, let it. The right ones will recognize your strength, and the wrong ones will remove themselves. Either way, you win. Thank you for watching The Rare Gems, and God bless you.